see what you got, man.
Ouch, that got me.
Did you just get stuck with a
I got stuck
treble?
a little bit. Yep. No, with the fish.
Nice, man.
There we go.
Good start to the day.
Yeah, we've been out here in the fishing ground for just a few minutes, and one break off and first fish.
All right.
All right. Let's see what we got.
We're gonna look up how old this fish is based on its size, and we're gonna figure out. What do you got?
29 and a half.
All right, you got a 29.5 inch Chesapeake Bay rockfish. Let's let her back in the water.
Let's get her out.
See you,
There you
fishy.
go. Off you are.
Nice catch, buddy.
All right.
All right, so I was looking up some stuff on stripers last night, and I came across this. This is on a website called Stripers 24/7, and that fish that Alan just caught, we're gonna figure out when that fish was spawned. We got all of our Chesapeake Bay stripers getting ready to have their birthday coming up in April, May, somewhere in that time period. That's when they spawn. And this one, let's see, you said 29.5, so here is 29 and 30. That's a 2007 fish. Now these are pretty good estimates, and that fish was probably between 11 and 12 pounds. So we're gonna look up the ages of other fish we catch today. My personal best, I caught a couple weeks back. That was a, let's see, 44.5 incher, and that fish was 1999. It's a 15-year-old fish, so you know it speaks to why we want to release these fish. They don't, replenish right away. And really, I read something about the egg yolk of these fish when they hatch, and they're the ones that stand the best chance of making it to adulthood are the ones that come out of these fish that are 28 inches and better. And it was just some scientific literature that talked about the eggs that they looked at coming from those really they said 10-pound fish, which if you look at the average size, right around that 28-inch mark is when you get over 10 pounds. So those having thicker egg yolks when they spawn, and those fish, as fry, being able to make it a lot longer. So there's a whole host of reasons why we want to release those 28 and larger inch fish. Everything from the consumption advisories, those fish have more of the toxins, the mercury and PCBs, but also those are the ones that really do a good job of making more. So let's go catch more. Alan here just got doubles, trolling 2 jerkbaits behind his boat. Nice, man. That's the second one. How big was the first one?
Same size. There's a school this size. Oftentimes you see them in the same range. You catch 2 at the same time. I'd say this one goes about mid-20s.
What's the jerkbait you're using to troll with?
This one's a bomber lure. This is a bomber wind shooter. And the other one is an X-Rap, Rapala X-Rap.
Is one of them working more than the other?
They're both working the same. Both have equally caught. This is the 4th or 5th fish on the day. Both have split.
Nice.
So I want to talk a little bit about trolling with a kayak. I find it to be a way more effective method of catching fish than casting. The reason is when I cast, I only have a certain amount of time. By the time the lure hits the water, by the time it gets back to the boat, it's diving. There's probably only a short period of time where the lure is actually being effective. In my experience, when you're in a kayak and you control, that lure stays at the same distance that entire time. You're covering a lot of water. I'm relying on my electronics to show me where the fish are. I'm marking them on the GPS. The GPS is a very important feature when I'm trolling. I need to know the spots I've been. I need to mark fish, and I need to come back to it. Every time I catch a fish when I'm trolling, I mark that spot. That helps me return. That helps me to spot patterns in the future. And that's really what you're looking for. You're looking for patterns. When you go home, you look at your fish finder at night, you can see all the things where you've been, and you can start piecing the puzzle together. If I ever showed you, my map, it would be very obvious why it marks, spots there. There's fish, there's structure, there's current, there's all the things that draw stripers. My particular setup, I find it very important to have rods that are in front of me. I need to know exactly what those tips are doing at all times. If I pick up a weed, if I snag a shad, or if I got a big hit. You know, a lot of people want to put them behind them, they can't see them, so all they hear is when the drag comes screaming out. That's not enough. You could be trolling a leaf for 13 miles and not know. I want to get them outboard as far as possible, and usually I stick to 2 rods, 3 sometimes if I'm really struggling to find fish to try to control the depth of water. Right where we are is about 10 foot. I find that to be a good range to troll because I can use 2 lures to cover the top half of the water and the second lure to cover the bottom half. So 2 is all I need. If I'm in deeper water, that's a little bit more of a challenge. I've added the nice torpedo motor just to lengthen my day. That has been a real big advantage. Nice safety switch comes off to keep me from accidentally doing anything. But yeah, that definitely lengthens my day, and I can fish longer and stronger.
Alan said he was maintaining between 2.5 and 3 mile an hour. So I'm watching my chart here. I'm at 2.8. Once I start creeping above 3, I slow it down. He's clearly more experienced at this than I am because he's caught, I don't know, probably 10 to my 1. Try to learn from him. 2.8, 3, slow it down, 2.5. All right, finally got a pretty decent one here. This one is I don't know, 25, 26 incher. Just trolling. Bye bye, fishy. So here's what we're drifting through. I already come through that school. But these shad are where these stripers are hanging out with on that flat, probably picking them off. So here's some more. You can see them coming up on the depth finder. Those aren't the striper, but that is why they're here.
So this is my particular trolling setup. It's nothing too fancy. I mean, I have a calico jack here. This is a medium heavy, fast tip rod. I've got a Shimano Sonora reel. So this whole setup here, not very expensive. Maybe $100, maybe $120. For trolling, you don't have to go too crazy with it. Now, what I do like about this rod is it's longer. It's about 7 foot long, so it really gets me out there to some distance. So when I have 2 of these sitting across, I might have 14, 15 feet of trolling breadth. The other thing you may notice, I like to use braid. I want a solid hook set when I'm on a fish. But what I do is I have that drag relatively light. But don't let that fool you, because when it's really coming through all those guides, it's much more stress than you think. So really lighten up your drag more than you think you should, just so you don't pull the hook out of the fish's mouth. If you do all those things, you will get a nice solid hook set and you'll catch some fish.
So that was a pretty cool way to catch some fish. I'd never caught them trolling before. I want to thank Alan for teaching me his techniques. So you want to give us a wrap up on the day?
Well, the wrap of the day was we launched around 11 o'clock or so to catch the second half of the day. We trolled southward. That was a good direction. We caught some fish straight away. We followed that up down a little shad ditch and continued to pick up fish until we found a sheltered area, fished out a little bit, caught some 30+ inch fish, made a round trip, and we're back at the beginning again. So this is where I think we're going to wrap up before the sun quits on us.
My takeaways were one, that I need to set up similar to what Alan has here. I have a rod holder, but I had a couple fish that just bent it over, so I've got that on order. concentrating on the right speed. That seemed to be pretty critical. Also making sure that we were on bait fish. We ran over bait fish. The striper were right in there on these flats, really in the ditches that the current comes through, you know, coming off these flats that probably just drain them out with each tidal swing. So get the right setup, get the jerk baits out there, and get your speed down pat. So thanks, man.
Hey, no problem. It's a good day.
So I'm excited to have caught my first, I think at the end of the day, with 5 or 6 fish, with a new tactic for me anyways, which is trolling from the kayak. Alan has certainly done this a lot more, and it shows. He got probably 25, 30 fish, including several breaking 30 inches that I didn't get any footage of, but saw from a distance. He really knows his stuff. Here's a synopsis from where we found them. And this is a good pattern for early spring flats trolling for striped bass. The first thing you want to do is to find the bait fish on your depth finder. I did that. We did that right off the bat, and it was actually in a little ditch coming out of a little bit of a creek here. Not a real big creek, but it was enough that all the water was draining out, and it was traveling along this little ditch, heading out, you know, into deeper water. A lot of the bait fish were on the edges of the depth of the ditch there. Pay attention to your speed when you hook up. When you get your first fish, you want to know. And in our case, it was about 2.8 miles per hour, maybe 3 miles an hour. Also, the depth that you're traveling. When you see a lot of these bait fish, and you'll know that, hey, if I'm seeing them in 8 to 10 feet of water, you're going to travel along that contour. If you get out into 15, 16, 20 feet of water, and you stop seeing them, we'll get back to that 8 to 10 feet if that's where you're seeing them. And also, once you find them, you want to make several passes. So that's what we did yesterday. Can't wait to get out later in the spring and really expand this pattern and learn it a little bit better. I imagine that I'm going to get better as it goes, fishing different depths. We used the jerk baits, which did well for that 8 to 10 foot depth. I'm certainly going to get into some deeper diving crankbaits and maybe some lead heads and plastic trolling.